VR has been growing rapidly over the past couple of years, and while you may have had your headset for a long time, maybe now you're finally getting some friends that have also picked up a Quest. So today we're going to talk about the best VR games that you can play with your friends. We're going to get stuck straight in with some action-orientated games. And what's better than shooting zombies with a buddy in VR? So we're going to go with Zombie Army VR right out the gate. Now this is a game that has recently launched, and it's been doing pretty well. It does have a bit of a repetitive formula, simply going through killing zombies along linear pathways, but everything it does do very well. It's a great experience for people who are both very familiar with VR and new to VR, because it doesn't put too many demands on you as the player. The demands that are placed are to survive, but there's nothing much more complicated than that. It's a game that does a lot of things well. What is here is all polished to a very high degree. And as someone who has experienced a lot of VR, I consider this to be AAA top tier VR production level. So if you've got a friend who's fairly new to VR and wants to experience some of the best of what it can offer, check out Zombie Army VR and go shoot some zombies together. Keeping with the action theme, we're going to go back in time a little bit to PopulationOne. This is a game that has been around for years, but it's still a super popular online multiplayer experience. It's a game that, for a while, did set the tone of what an online multiplayer VR experience needed to be. There were a lot of titles that came and challenged it, but still, somehow, PopulationOne has stayed top of the pile. It's a game that is about a competitive multiplayer experience, but provides you with a lot of tools to play the way in which you want to play. It's not really a hero shooter, if that's the kind of thing you're thinking. It's more of an open-ended exploration of what competitive multiplayer online gaming can be in VR. And what's more, PopulationOne is now free to play. And one more action-orientated experience, we're going to go with Final Fury. Now this is a game that again has launched pretty recently and isn't a shooting game. It is a beat-em-up. It's a one-on-one fighting game. And these types of games in VR haven't really been that popular. We haven't seen that many of them yet. But Final Fury, for all its issues that it does have, it is a fantastic example of what this genre can be like in VR. You can check out our full review of Final Fury up top. But for now, let's just say, if you're looking for a bit of a casual experience to go and beat up one of your mates in VR and have a few laughs, Final Fury is certainly a good time. We're going to take the pace down a little bit now with a couple of games that I really enjoyed playing with friends at a slower rate. We're going to go with Vestige's Fallen Tribes to begin with. Now this game launched a little while ago and really hasn't caught on. I don't know why. You can see our full review of Vestige's up the top, but right now I'm going to tell you, if you're into planning, tactical action, competitive, essentially rock, paper, scissors style gameplay, but much more elaborate, taking on your friends with the same toolkit, but exercised in different ways, Vestige's Fallen Tribes is a really good game to get the old brain working. In this game, you have a limited amount of resources from which to pick your troop types, and then place them on the table and watch the action unfurl when you hit that go button. Your enemy lines up your troops and you line up yours, and then they just simply march into battle against one another. And it sounds quite dull, but in fact it is a really taxing mental experience in VR. Each round, as you go through, the troops that you placed in the previous round remain on the table and you can add to them with new resources acquired. As such, you start from very small skirmishes, building up to larger scale battles with dozens of different troop types on the table, and you have to make sure that your new additions are good counters to whatever new additions your opponent is adding. So it is quite a challenging, cerebral experience. It's one of those games where you can be doing super well until that last round, and one mistake and you've lost the battle. So if you're looking for something new, something a bit different in VR with your friends, check out Vestige's Fallen Tribes. Along a similar line, but in a more cooperative experience, we're going to go with Deio. Now, Deio features in the videos that we have recorded in 131 many times, and in many other channels' videos. So if you have any prior knowledge about VR, you're not going to be surprised to see it here. Deio can be played with you in VR and your friend on a different device, a desktop PC or a laptop, for example. So it's much more open than a lot of other games there are out there. You can both be in VR, but you don't need to be. And it is essentially a tabletop board game-ish in VR, where you have to move your pieces and battle together to try and overcome the enemy, and so on. To newcomers, it can seem quite taxing. There's a lot to be managing, a lot of detail that you have to remember in order to engage correctly with the game. And the game does want you to engage correctly. There are specific ways in which things have to happen in order to make the most out of your resources. So there is a learning curve here. But once you get into it, Deio is a fun and challenging experience to check out with your friends, whatever the device they're on. Sticking with the games that actually only require one of you to be in VR, we're going to go with an old classic VR experience. Keep talking and nobody explodes. Now, I'm sure many of you have already played this game and it doesn't need much of an introduction, but just in case, what we're going to say is you need a VR headset and a printer. Bit of an odd combination, right? But Keep Talking and Nobody Explodes works best when you physically print out the manual that the game is supplied with. Now, one player in the VR headset is looking at a bomb, and they have certain things on this bomb in order to need to know to deactivate it. And a simple example is you'll be looking at a panel which has 4 wires, all different colours, and you have to read out the colours of these wires in the order that they're in to the person with the physical printed manual. And then that person needs to flick through the manual, find the page that this references, and find the way in which the bomb is diffused, the correct wire to cut in this example. And these kind of puzzles can be quite elaborate. Hieroglyphs, images, like I say, colours and wires and numbers and letters and all sorts of different things. And it's a cooperative experience, and the player in the headset has to describe what they're seeing in as most accurate detail as possible, while the player of the manual needs to relay that and understand what the player is seeing without actually seeing it themselves. It's a great experience, it does put you under pressure, and it's something unique, which is what we love about VR. We're going to end with the multiplayer experience that is currently ruling the roost in VR. There are dozens upon dozens of games trying to take the crown here, but Gorilla Tag is still way out in front. Gorilla Tag is not everyone's cup of tea. It's a game that has been designed for a fun social experience. And while there are many competitors that have come into the scene, very few have offered the intensity and the longevity of Gorilla Tag. It's a game that, for a younger audience, is the reason to have VR, and it's not surprising. There is immediate appeal here. It's very easy to understand what's going on, very easy to get into, and very different from a lot of traditional gaming. So while Gorilla Tag may not be everyone's cup of tea, if you're playing with a new gamer, a younger gamer, maybe you should introduce them to this one and see if it takes their fancy. So those were our top picks for the best VR experiences you can have with friends right now. Did we miss your favourite? Is there something that should have been in this list that wasn't? Let us know down in the comments.